Imagine being eaten alive, from the inside out, not by a predator, but by your own offspring. These are not scenes from a horror movie. They're everyday survival strategies in the natural world. Because when it comes to evolution, nature doesn't play fair. Every creature alive today is here because its ancestors did whatever it took to survive, no matter how cruel, manipulative, or downright disturbing. And what's most unsettling of all, many of these strategies are still happening right now, in your backyard. In this episode of Weird Animal Evolution, we're diving into the most disturbing survival tactics ever evolved, from parasites that turn victims into zombies, to creatures that weaponize their own children. We'll uncover how these horrifying strategies came to be, and why, in nature's eyes, they're not evil, just effective. Because out here, evolution has one golden rule: if it works, it stays. So, are you ready to see just how far life will go to survive? Let's begin. Deep in the Amazon, something truly unsettling happens every day, invisible to the casual observer. An ant, part of a bustling colony, suddenly stops in its tracks. It twitches, climbs a leaf, and clamps its jaws shut. Then it freezes and dies. Days later, a strange stalk erupts from the back of its head, releasing spores into the air. Those spores will drift downward, landing on more ants, repeating the cycle. This is Ophiocordyceps unilateralis, the infamous zombie ant fungus. It doesn't just kill its host, it controls it. Like a microscopic puppeteer, it hijacks the ant's nervous system, forcing it to climb to a height where humidity is perfect for fungal growth. Scientists call this extended phenotype, when a parasite manipulates another organism's behavior to benefit itself. But to the ants, it's something closer to demonic possession. And the eerie part? Colonies have evolved ways to detect the infected. Worker ants carry zombie ants far from the nest, a primitive form of quarantine. Even in the insect world, there's a war between infection and immunity, between control and freedom. But what's next is even more disturbing. Meet the Cotesia glomerata, a parasitic wasp that's mastered the art of biological horror. She injects her eggs directly into a living caterpillar, along with a virus that shuts down the caterpillar's immune system. Inside, dozens of larvae begin to grow, feeding on the host's insides without killing it. Not yet. They know exactly what to eat and what not to eat. When the larvae are ready, they chew their way out. The caterpillar, mutilated but still alive, doesn't flee. Instead, it stands guard over the pupae, defending the very parasites that destroyed it. Why? Because that injected virus also reprogrammed its brain. This isn't just survival, it's mind control at a genetic level. A horrifying alliance between wasp and virus, perfected by millions of years of coevolution. But here's the part that still puzzles scientists. The virus that makes this possible doesn't just live in the wasp, it's part of the wasp's DNA. It's inherited, like an organ. So, in a sense, the wasp isn't just using a virus, it is one. What does that say about the boundaries between life and parasite? At what point do two organisms stop being separate and become one? At first glance, these look innocent enough, eggs of the African cuckoo. But there's a sinister twist. When the chick hatches, it immediately turns violent. Blind and featherless, it begins to shove other eggs, its foster siblings, out of the nest. The result? Only the cuckoo chick survives, raised by unsuspecting adoptive parents who feed it as if it were their own. This disturbing behavior is called brood-parasitic. It's an evolutionary masterpiece of deception, and one of the most ruthless parenting strategies in nature. What's even stranger is that this strategy evolved independently in multiple bird lineages, a perfect case of convergent cruelty. Evolution, it seems, doesn't just repeat the beautiful, it repeats the brutal. But the next creature pushes this concept to an extreme that borders on body horror. A survival tactic so grotesque, it feels almost alien. In the black abyss of the ocean, where sunlight has never reached, there lives a fish that redefines the word disturbing. Meet the anglerfish, a predator so bizarre that even its love life looks like something out of a nightmare. The female is enormous, up to 10 times larger than the male. The male, on the other hand, is a tiny, desperate parasite with one evolutionary mission: find a mate before he dies. But once he does, he doesn't let go. Literally, he bites onto her body, fusing his flesh into hers. Over time, his organs dissolve, his blood vessels merge with hers, and his body becomes nothing more than a pair of testes permanently attached to the female's body. She absorbs his nutrients, controls his hormones, and uses him only when she needs sperm. It's not a partnership. It's a biological merger, a forced symbiosis, born from the brutal scarcity of the deep sea. This grotesque form of romance evolved because, in the eternal night of the deep ocean, mates are rare. For these creatures, attachment is survival in the most literal sense. So while we might call it disturbing, for the anglerfish, it's simply efficient. And that's the pattern we keep seeing. The behaviors that horrify us are often the ones that have worked best for survival. But not all monsters hide in the deep. Some are much, much closer to home. This is the botfly, nature's uninvited guest. Unlike most parasites, it doesn't drink blood or sap energy over time. It turns living tissue into an incubator. The female botfly doesn't lay her eggs directly on an animal. Instead, she hijacks another insect, often a mosquito. When that mosquito bites a mammal, the botfly's eggs are transferred to the wound. Once inside, the larvae hatch and begin to eat. Not too much, just enough to stay alive, keeping the host's tissue healthy while feeding on it. The animal might feel a strange itch, maybe even pain, but it rarely knows what's truly happening, that something alive is growing inside it. Days or weeks later, the mature larva bursts out of the skin, ready to drop to the soil and pupate into an adult fly. It's a nightmare that plays out across jungles and forests worldwide, a perfect example of evolution's grim ingenuity. But before you recoil too much, remember, these strategies exist because they work. For every horrific parasite, there's a delicate balance keeping ecosystems in check. Without parasites, populations would explode, diseases would spread faster, and nature's intricate web would collapse. Evolution isn't moral. It's not good or evil. It's only efficient. It looks harmless enough, a slow-moving sea cucumber, filtering the sand. But inside it, hiding in its cloaca, the same opening used for excretion and respiration, lives the pearlfish. Yes, you heard that right. By day, it hides inside its host for protection. By night, it emerges to feed. Some species even live there permanently, feeding off the host's internal tissues. It's safe, warm, and disgusting, the ultimate rent-free lifestyle. This bizarre symbiosis blurs the line between parasitism and commensalism. Some sea cucumbers don't seem harmed, others are slowly eaten from the inside. It's another reminder that evolution isn't designing rules. It's testing what can survive longest. And the pearlfish has found a strategy so weird, so intimate, that it almost feels like satire until you realize it's real. From fungal puppeteers to flesh-burrowing larvae and parasitic lovers, evolution has crafted survival strategies that defy imagination and challenge our understanding of what life really means. But perhaps the most disturbing truth of all is that these strategies aren't accidents. They are inevitable outcomes of nature's one relentless command: survive, no matter the cost. When we look at nature's strangest survival strategies, it's easy to feel disgusted or even horrified. But beneath the horror lies a brutal kind of beauty. Every grotesque behavior, every parasitic twist, every mind-controlling fungus, it all comes from one ancient, unshakable truth: life wants to live. Each of these creatures, no matter how monstrous they seem, has found a way to turn impossible odds into survival. They are, in their own twisted way, evolutionary success stories. Because in evolution, there's no such thing as evil. There's only what works. It's not love or hate that drives nature forward, it's persistence. The endless experimentation of life, in all its forms, from the horrifying to the beautiful. That's the haunting paradox of evolution. The same force that gives us butterflies and coral reefs also gives us parasites that eat from the inside out. The same creativity that paints the peacock's feathers also designed the anglerfish's nightmarish fusion of bodies. And the same instinct that makes a mother nurture her child can drive another species to destroy its rival's eggs before they even hatch. So what does all this tell us about life? That survival isn't always graceful. It's raw, messy, and sometimes horrifying. But it's also ingenious. These creatures, from zombie ants to flesh-burrowing larvae, show us that evolution doesn't aim for perfection. It aims for persistence. Every mutation, every adaptation, is another roll of the dice in life's endless experiment. And in that experiment, disturbing often means successful. Think about it. Humans are part of this same evolutionary system. We're products of the same brutal competition, just more so. But perhaps that's what makes it even more fascinating. If evolution can create creatures that manipulate, merge, and even mind control others, what does that say about the limits of life itself? Maybe the real question isn't, why is nature so cruel? Maybe it's, why do we expect it not to be? Because for all its beauty and terror, nature doesn't play by our moral rules. It doesn't reward kindness or punish cruelty. It simply rewards survival. And that's why the most disturbing strategies, the parasites, the imposters, the manipulators, often end up being the most successful of all. So the next time you see a butterfly land on a flower, or a bird feed its chick, remember, these moments of beauty exist only because nature's darker side made them possible. Every elegant wing beat, every heartbeat, every breath is built on billions of years of struggle, adaptation, and yes, horror. Because evolution doesn't just create life. It tests it, over and over again. And maybe that's the most disturbing truth of all. If you love uncovering evolution's strangest and most unsettling secrets, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because the next creature we're covering is even stranger than this one. So what do you think? Which survival strategy disturbed you the most? Let us know in the comments. If you can still sleep tonight,